This is Vandi Digitalis, January 31st, 2017. As you can see, I'm right across from Starbucks here. This is a different Starbucks than the first video I did, which was coffee and electromagnetic sensitivity for people who suffer from chronic EMF, RF, and a bunch of other weird energy diseases. So today is the other part 2 of the Starbucks coffee. Well, I guess you can say history, science. Of course, it all again started up in Seattle back in the early, I believe, 60s, 70s. Small coffee house at Pike's Place Market, which is very famous in Seattle for salmon, the original Starbucks coffee houses, and a bunch of variety of other shops and restaurants and bars. Again, I was up there studying for 3, 4, 5 years, in and out, traveling up to Canada, all over the place. Spent a lot of time in the Northwest. I got a chance to even work as a barista in a coffee house serving Torrifozione coffee, which is now owned by Starbucks. It's one of the best coffees at the time anyways, back in the early 90s. Very, very expensive coffee, very good stuff. Better than anything I could find in Seattle except for a few undergrounds. So again, Starbucks, Proposition 65, which you'll see in some of the Starbucks coffee houses and other Starbucks. Different coffee houses owned, maybe such as Pete's and a few others, and even Coffee Bean. They put up plaques in different locations in their coffee houses, and it says Proposition 65. Well, I can't remember it that well exactly what it is, but what it is a warning to let people know that there's certain chemical substances produced in the cooking or baking process of foods, not just coffee, but foods that create a chemical called acrylamide. Now, acrylamide is not very well known. I worked in close to 15 restaurants doing everything except managing, and I have tons of experience in doing some chef work. Asian foods, Italian foods, basic cooking, baking organic breads, and of course I did the barista coffee, and from my experience I learned that acrylamide most likely affects people who drink the coffee because it's a very high heat roasted coffee bean with a burnt shell. It depends on how hard they roast it or burnt in, or it doesn't matter, but all coffee bean has to be roasted in order to get coffee. You can't just drink it raw, it'll make you sick, most people. So acrylamide, when it's burnt, it turns into a nano-sized chemical, and when you take this or drink coffee, it has a negative adverse effects depending on how well you've adjusted the coffee, electromagnetic energy, radio frequencies, and a bunch of other stuff. So people who are electromagnetic and or chemical sensitive need to be careful about drinking Starbucks coffee. I am one of them. And that is when the coffee goes to your stomach, of course it passes through your urinal tract and your crap, and it has adverse effects when you're around those types of energies, which of course include cars is the biggest one, radio wave towers, cell towers, buses, cell phone even. It just depends if you adjusted or adapted to the cell phone industry. Most people have, so it doesn't affect them much. I didn't grow up with that technology. I didn't have the money, so I didn't adapt to cell phones very well, or computers. I actually just, well, it doesn't matter. So anyways, the energy will actually go into your stomach and your urinal tract, crap, nervous system, and make you very, very sick. Feel like you're going to die sometimes. Diarrhea, upset stomach, bloating, inflammation. So it hits those regions in your body when you're drinking the coffee. And Starbucks has the biggest, of course, is the biggest supplier of coffee in the world. They have also the biggest amount of any other coffee house of acrylamide, which is a potentially carcinogenic, cancer-causing coffee chemical. And it's not safe. I was sick for years. I had doctors tell me in Seattle to please stop drinking the coffee, and I wouldn't do it because I didn't believe it was the coffee. Well, I was ignorant back then, but now I know it's true. So they were right. I didn't hear that from anyone else anywhere on this planet, but since they spent most of their years in Seattle and they were doctors, they told me the truth and they didn't lie to me. I thought they were full of shit. They weren't. They were pretty straight and honest with me, and I paid them with my own university money trying to figure out why I was so sick all the time. It made me mentally and physically sick, mostly mentally. So I am that allergic to the burnt coffee being acrylamide and electromagnetic energy. As of today, I don't own a computer, and I try to stay away from people with iPhones and Androids and other phones, although I do own a phone. I don't use it a lot. But the Starbucks coffee chain are dangerous for those people. It needs to be known. And this will be the end of part 2 of coffee and electromagnetic sensitive people. Goodbye.